Hi everyone, it's Ren here. Welcome to my room, guys. I had a viewer recently, very recently, ask me the question, what is the relationship between NI and giftedness? Have you made any video about it? And it's possible I made a video about it in the past, but it's starting to date, and I think it's an interesting question. The first thing that I would want to say about it is, the better question to ask is, what is the NI way of giftedness, right? Rather than ask, for example, is it more likely for someone to be gifted if they lead with the NI function? These questions are not so interesting. I think that they partake of the whole trend of the vanity trend of identifying with certain types. I don't think that there is strict evidence that being NI leads makes it more likely you're gifted, but there is certainly an NI way of giftedness. That is to say that not every type will show giftedness in the same way. I think there's something very true here about personality types and its architecture and its nomenclature. A TI lead or an NE dominant or an FI dominant will show giftedness differently from NI leads. And I think from what I've been able to observe over my many years of observing INFJs particularly, but other types as well, is that the NI way of giftedness usually is manifested through very broad vocabulary even at a young age. It's something that you'll see in gifted NI leads. A very broad vocabulary tends to be the case. An articulation of this vocabulary in language, which is precocious, right? Something that shows that the particular NI kid is in advance of other kids. Now notice this does not necessarily mean that they're going to be eloquent, because I've made a video about how eloquence is more a trait of JE dominance, FE or TE dominance. So the NI kid might not have that particular trait. However, if they do speak, it very quickly comes across that they're like encyclopedic, way beyond their years, right? So this is something, a facility with language, a very vivid imagination, right? And sometimes a tendency to just look at problems in ways that are very novel, without always being able to articulate how they came up with that particular alternative view, right? So originality, creativity, and linguistic ease, and breadth of vocabulary, I want to insist on this. An overall sense that the kid is more mature, way more mature than other kids in their age category, right? You might think that these different traits are illustrative of giftedness for any kid and any type, but in fact that's not true. So for example, just to provide a point of comparison, I think that if you take giftedness in a TI dominant, for example, INTP or ISTP, that's another very recognizable way of giftedness, but it's very, very different. So usually the JI lead, so TI or FI, but let's focus on TI here, way of giftedness, usually does not come across in linguistic ease. It doesn't come across in a very enlarged vocabulary, at least not at first sight. Where it comes across is actually, in fact, in a difficulty with speech and a very remarkable ability at problem solving, difficult problem solving, whether it be abstract, mathematical, or sometimes more practical as well, like ISTP gifted children being able to, repair cars very early on without need for external support, things like that. And TI dominants in general not very comfortable with speech. They often have, they articulate things in their minds that they find difficult to bring out, which also has to do with the quality of TI, which is a function of deliberation. TI basically judges the internal accuracy of your propositions, your linguistic statements, And when it's at a gifted level, it's constantly checking whether something is correctly articulated or not, and often blocks it, which doesn't help with articulation eloquence. You even see this with FI leads. For example, check David Foster Wallace, the writer. You'll see that, like, the difficulty with articulating something that is obviously very complexly articulated in their minds, but hard to come out. For TI leads, check Terence Tao, the mathematician. You would never call him eloquent, but the ability of if you like, technical and creative problem solving is just off the charts. So that's how you can have very different NI lead giftedness and TI lead giftedness, and you could apply that to other types as well. Now, just to finish, just don't forget that the Infinite Soul is out, my new book. You can check the book at the links below. Analysis of INFJ life in the modern world. So give it a go if you haven't got it. And the companion piece, the prequel, which is the Ecstatic Soul. The Ecstatic Soul and the Infinite Soul, both are available at the links below. INFJ Psyche and INFJ life in the modern world. Get both books if you haven't. Give me a thumbs up for this video and a positive review if you liked this book or the Ecstatic Soul. Just please drop me a review, helps with the referencing. And don't forget about my Patreon page, which is also available down there. All right, guys, see you soon. In fact, see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.